You've got the big event planned. The wedding, the corporate offsite, the family reunion, the championship game for your kids' travel team. You've spent months coordinating every detail, the venue, the food, the schedule. But there's one giant looming problem that's turning this dream event into a logistical nightmare. Getting everyone there. You're picturing it now, aren't you? A chaotic caravan of 10, 15, maybe 20 different cars. You're playing a high-stakes game of telephone, texting directions, and parking instructions. Uncle Steve gets lost and ends up in a different county. Your top sales team hits unexpected traffic and misses the keynote speech. Half the group arrives late, stressed out from navigating, arguing over the GPS, and desperately trying to find a parking spot. The entire shared experience you envisioned is fractured before it even begins. What if I told you there's a solution that eliminates all of that stress? A solution that's safer, often cheaper, and turns the journey itself into part of the main event. A solution that most people overlook because they have a picture in their head from a 30-year-old movie. We're talking about the modern charter bus. And I need you to forget everything you think you know. Erase that image of a cramped, rattling tin can with sticky floors. The world of charter travel has undergone a revolution. We're talking about vehicles with plush, reclining leather seats, panoramic windows, onboard Wi-Fi that actually works, power outlets at every seat, pristine restrooms, and entertainment systems that rival a home theater. Some of these are basically private jets on wheels. This is the ultimate group travel hack. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to pull back the curtain on the entire industry. My goal is to transform you from a complete novice into a confident expert. By the end of this presentation, you will know exactly how to choose the right bus for your group, how to find and vet a reputable company, how to avoid the hidden fees and common pitfalls that trap first-timers, and how to ensure your journey is seamless, comfortable, and absolutely unforgettable. We are going to solve the single biggest headache of group planning right here, right now. So, let's start with the most fundamental question. Why a charter bus? Why choose this over flying, taking a train, or just toughing it out with that messy caravan of cars? The answer breaks down into three powerful pillars: cost, convenience, and community. Let's talk about cost first because it's the number one myth we need to bust. The sticker price of chartering a bus can seem high at first glance, but you have to do the real math. Let's say you need to get 40 people from Chicago to a conference in Indianapolis. If each of those people drove separately or in pairs, you're looking at about 20 cars. That's 20 tanks of gas both ways. That's potential wear and tear on 20 different vehicles. That's 20 exorbitant parking fees at the hotel or convention center, which can easily be $30 or $40 a day per car. Suddenly, you're spending thousands of dollars just on the logistics of driving and parking, not to mention the environmental impact. Now compare that to one bus. You have one vehicle, one driver, one fuel cost. When you divide the total cost of the charter by 40 passengers, the per-person price is almost always significantly lower than the cost of driving, and it absolutely crushes the cost of 40 individual plane or train tickets. You're leveraging the power of group economics. It's the wholesale club version of travel. Buying in bulk saves everyone a fortune. But the value goes far beyond just the dollars and cents. Which brings us to pillar number 2, unparalleled convenience. This is where the charter bus truly shines. Think about it. The bus comes to you. It picks your group up at a single designated location, your office, your school, a hotel. From that moment on, the logistics are handled. There's no navigating through rush hour traffic. There's no searching for a gas station in the middle of nowhere. There's no circling a massive parking garage trying to find a spot. You step on the bus, settle into your seat, and you're on your way. Compare that to the soul-crushing experience of group air travel. Herding 40 people through an airport is a special kind of torment. You have to deal with checking bags, paying exorbitant baggage fees, navigating the TSA security theater, worrying about flight delays or cancellations, and then after all that, you still have to arrange transportation from the destination airport to your actual hotel or venue. With a charter bus, the journey is door to door. The vehicle that picks you up is the same vehicle that drops you off right at the front entrance. It is the definition of a seamless travel experience. Your luggage is safely stored under the bus, you don't have to take your shoes off, and the only schedule you're on is your own. This leads us to the third and, in my opinion, the most important pillar: community. This is the magic ingredient that other forms of travel simply cannot replicate. When you put your group in a dozen different cars, you isolate them. They arrive as individuals. But when you put everyone on one bus, the event starts the moment the wheels start rolling. The bus becomes a shared space. Your sales team can prep for their big presentation together. The wedding party can start the celebration early. The sports team can strategize, build morale, and get hyped for the big game. It's a chance for people to talk, to laugh, to connect in a way that's impossible when they're separated by steel and glass on a highway. They're not staring at their phone's GPS. They're interacting with each other. The journey isn't just a boring necessity to get from point A to point B. It becomes a memorable and integral part of the experience. It builds bonds. It creates a sense of unity. You arrive at your destination not as a scattered collection of individuals, but as a cohesive group, ready and energized for whatever comes next. So let's recap the why. It's more cost-effective when you do the real math, eliminating fuel and parking costs for dozens of cars. It's wildly more convenient, offering door-to-door service that bypasses the nightmare of airports and navigation. And it fosters a powerful sense of community, turning dead travel time into a valuable, shared experience. This is the foundation. This is the reason millions of trips are taken this way every year. It's the smart, efficient, and enjoyable way to travel as a group. Now that you understand the immense value, the strategic advantage of choosing a charter, the next logical question becomes, what are your options? Because not all buses are created equal. Walking into the booking process blind is like walking into a car dealership and just saying, I need a car. You'll be lost. There are minibuses, party buses, entertainer coaches, and the classic full-size motor coach. And choosing the right one is the first critical decision you'll have to make. Getting this wrong can ruin your trip before it even starts. So what's the difference between them, and how do you pick the perfect vehicle for your group size, your budget, and your specific needs? Let's break it down. Think of it less like renting a car and more like choosing your champion for a quest. Each vehicle has its own unique stats, abilities, and ideal mission. First up, you have the undisputed king of the road, the full-sized motor coach. This is the 56-passenger behemoth you picture when you hear charter bus. It's the workhorse of the industry, designed for long-haul comfort and maximum capacity. Inside, you're looking at plush, reclining seats, individual reading lights, and overhead bins for personal items just like an airplane. But the real magic happens below deck. The massive underbelly luggage bay is a game-changer. This isn't just for suitcases, we're talking sports equipment, musical instruments, trade show materials, you name it. If your group is traveling with anything more than a backpack, this space is non-negotiable. And for any trip longer than an hour, the onboard restroom is an absolute lifesaver. No more desperate pleas for a pit stop every 45 minutes. Modern motor coaches are also packed with amenities that were once considered luxuries, but are now standard expectations. Wi-Fi, power outlets at every seat, and flat-screen monitors for entertainment. This is your go-to for the big missions. The cross-country school trip, the corporate retreat to a mountain resort, the university sports team heading to the championship, or the senior tour group exploring national parks. It's a self-contained bubble of comfort, offering a high vantage point over the traffic and a shared sense of adventure. But what if you don't need a 56-passenger land yacht? What if your quest is more of a local skirmish than an epic saga? Enter the minibus, the nimble and versatile warrior of the fleet. Typically seating anywhere from 20 to 35 passengers, the minibus is the perfect solution for medium-sized groups on shorter journeys. Think of it as the bridge between a full-sized van and a massive coach. You still get comfortable, forward-facing seats and often some overhead storage for small bags, but you trade the giant luggage bay and the restroom for maneuverability. This is a huge advantage in crowded urban environments. Trying to navigate a 45-foot motor coach through the narrow streets of downtown Boston or find parking for it near a popular wedding venue can be a logistical nightmare. A minibus, on the other hand, can zip in and out with ease. This makes it the undisputed champion for things like wedding guest shuttles between the hotel and the ceremony, corporate teams heading to an off-site meeting across town, or airport transfers where you have more people than a van can handle but not enough to justify a full coach. The ride is still comfortable, the windows are large, but the scale is more intimate. It's less of a national tour vibe and more of a private party on wheels feel. Now let's shrink it down even further and crank up the luxury. Meet the Sprinter van. If the motor coach is a commercial airliner, the Sprinter is a private jet. Seating typically between 8 and 15 passengers, these vehicles are all about the premium experience. We're not talking about a standard passenger van from the rental lot. We're talking high-backed leather captain's chairs, hardwood floors, custom lighting, and often superior sound systems and screens. This is the choice when the journey itself is part of the event. It's for the bachelor party heading to a high-end steakhouse, the executive team being transported to a crucial negotiation, or the family wanting a private, guided tour of wine country. The smaller size means it can go absolutely anywhere, offering door-to-door service that even a minibus can't match. Luggage space is limited, usually just a rear area for a few bags, so it's not for gear-heavy trips. But for smaller groups who value comfort, style, and exclusivity over sheer capacity, the Sprinter is in a class of its own. It sends a message of sophistication and attention to detail before you even arrive at your destination. Finally, we have to talk about the most nostalgic and, let's be honest, the most basic option, the classic yellow school bus. Now, before you click away, hear me out. For the right job, a school bus can be a brilliant, cost-effective tool. The primary advantage is price. They are, by far, the cheapest way to move a large group of people, sometimes seating up to 72 children or around 48 adults. The downside? Well, it's everything else. You're getting vinyl bench seats, no air conditioning, no restroom, and zero luggage storage. This is the definition of a no-frills ride. So, when would you ever choose this? Only for short, local trips where budget is the absolute #1 priority and comfort is a distant second. Think a 20-minute shuttle from a parking lot to a local festival, a church group going to a nearby picnic, or a summer camp trip to the local swimming pool. If your journey is under an hour, everyone is able-bodied, and no one has luggage, it can work. But attempting to take a school bus on a 3-hour trip on a hot summer day is a recipe for a full-scale mutiny. It's a tool for a very specific job, not an all-purpose travel solution. So you have the 4 main champions: the mighty motor coach, the nimble minibus, the luxurious Sprinter, and the budget-friendly school bus. How do you pick the right one? It boils down to asking 4 critical questions. First, what is your true head count? And I say true head count because you need to think about space. If you have exactly 56 people, booking a 56-passenger motorcoach means every single seat is filled. There's no room to spread out, no empty seat for a shared bag. For longer trips, if the budget allows, booking a bus with 10 to 15% more seats than you have people can dramatically increase comfort. It's a small upgrade that pays huge dividends in passenger happiness. Second, what is the luggage equation? This is the detail that sinks so many trips. Don't just count people, count their things. Are you a ski club? You need space for skis and boots. A band? You need space for instruments and amps. A group flying in for a week-long conference? You need space for 50 large suitcases. Be brutally realistic. A minibus might hold 30 people, but it won't hold 30 people in their golf bags. Always clarify with the charter company exactly what the luggage capacity is. Underbelly storage is the gold standard for any gear-heavy trip. Third, what is the journey's DNA? How long is it and where are you going? A 6-hour drive through the desert in July without a restroom or air conditioning isn't a fun adventure. It's a survival scenario. The longer the trip, the more essential amenities like a restroom, reclining seats, Wi-Fi, and power outlets become. A short hop across town doesn't require any of that. The destination matters too. A winding mountain road or a historic city center might be inaccessible for a giant motorcoach, making a minibus the only viable option. Finally, what is the mission's vibe? Every trip has a purpose and an unspoken feeling. Is it a wedding where you want guests to feel cared for and comfortable? A basic school bus might clash with the elegant vibe you're trying to create. Is it a corporate roadshow where you need to impress potential clients? The polished look of a new motorcoach or a luxury Sprinter reinforces your company's brand. Don't just look at the price tag. Consider the experience you're providing for your passengers. Sometimes spending a little more for a better vehicle is the difference between a memorable event and a miserable ordeal. Answering those 4 questions, head count, luggage, journey, and vibe, will lead you to the perfect vehicle. You've weighed the options, you've made your choice, and you're ready to book that beautiful, gleaming motorcoach for your group. But this is where you face the single biggest pitfall in the entire process. Because choosing the right type of bus is only half the battle. Now you have to choose the right company to provide it. And the internet is a minefield of slick websites, too good to be true prices, and shadowy middlemen known as brokers. How can you tell a reputable, safe, and reliable operator from a company that will take your deposit and leave you and your 50 guests stranded on the curb? How do you spot the hidden fees that can double your quote? And what's the one critical government database you must check before you give anyone a single dollar? Getting this wrong isn't just an inconvenience. It can be downright dangerous. Let's start with the most important tool in your arsenal, the one that separates the legitimate professionals from the fly-by-night risks. It's not a secret review site or a fancy app. It's a government database, and it's your absolute first stop. Write this down. FMCSA Safer System. That stands for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and their Safer System, which means Safety and Fitness Electronic Records, is a public database that tracks every single registered commercial motor carrier in the United States. This is non-negotiable. Before you even think about getting a quote, you need to play detective. Ask the company for their DOT number. That's their Department of Transportation number. If they hesitate, if they can't provide it immediately, that is a colossal red flag. Hang up the phone. Close the browser tab. Move on. A legitimate company will have their DOT number plastered on their website and on the side of every bus they own. Once you have that number, you go to the Safer website, plug it in, and hit search. What you're looking for is simple, but it's the difference between a safe trip and a potential disaster. You need to see two things. First, under operating status, it must say authorized for passenger. Not authorized, not out of service. It has to be explicitly authorized to carry people. Second, you want to look at their safety rating. You'll see ratings like satisfactory, conditional, or unsatisfactory. Obviously, satisfactory is what you want. Conditional means they've had some issues but are still allowed to operate while they fix them. Proceed with caution. Unsatisfactory? That's a hard no. You're also looking for any out-of-service orders. If you see that a company has been recently put out of service for safety violations, you run. This simple 5-minute check weeds out about 90% of the problem operators before they ever get a chance to give you a misleading quote. Now, with that foundation of safety established, let's talk about who you're actually dealing with. In the charter bus world, there are two main players: operators and brokers. Understanding the difference is critical to getting the best price and service. An operator is a company that owns and maintains its own fleet of buses. They employ the drivers, they have the garage, they have the insurance. When you book with an operator, you are dealing directly with the people who will be providing your service. A broker, on the other hand, doesn't own any buses. They are a middleman. They're a sales and logistics company. You call them, tell them what you need, and they go out and find an operator in their network to actually do the job. Now, brokers get a bad rap, sometimes deservedly, but they aren't inherently evil. A good broker can be a lifesaver, especially if you need multiple buses in a city you're unfamiliar with, or have a complex, multi-state itinerary. They have established networks and can sometimes find availability when you can't. The problem arises with bad brokers. They can be opaque about who you'll ultimately be driving with. They might mark up the price significantly without adding any real value, or worse, they might just find the absolute cheapest and potentially least safe operator to maximize their own profit. So how do you tell the difference? Ask them directly. Are you an operator or a broker? A reputable company will be honest. Then ask for their DOT number. If they are a broker, they won't have one for operating authority because they don't operate buses. They should, however, have a broker license number, which you can also look up. Another clue is to look at the photos on their website. Do they all look like professional, consistent stock photos? Or do you see pictures of actual buses with the company's name clearly painted on the side? Maybe with pictures of their actual staff? Real operators are proud of their fleet and love to show it off. Brokers use generic images. Generally, for a straightforward trip, dealing directly with a local, highly rated operator is your best bet. You'll have a direct line of communication and often a better price. For complex, large-scale events, a good broker can be worth their weight in gold. Just do your homework. Okay, you've vetted their safety on the Safer System, and you know if you're talking to an operator or a broker. Now comes the moment of truth. The quote. This is where the magic tricks and hidden fees live. Never, ever accept a quote that is just a single number. A professional quote will be an itemized list, and your job is to dissect it like a frog in biology class. Let's break down the common line items and the traps hidden within. First, you'll see the base rate. This is the main charge for the bus and driver for a set number of hours or miles. This is the big, attractive number they put in the email subject line, but it's almost never the final price. Next, look for fuel surcharge. Some companies include fuel in their base rate, but many add it as a separate line item. It might be a flat fee or, more commonly, a percentage of the base rate, something like 5 to 10%. This is a legitimate charge, but you need to know if it's there. If it's a percentage, it can fluctuate with gas prices, so your final bill might be slightly different from the initial quote. Ask them how they calculate it. Here's a big one. Driver gratuity. This is the tip for your driver. Many companies automatically add a mandatory gratuity of 15 to 20% to the bill. Let me be clear. A mandatory gratuity is not a gratuity. It's a service fee. If it's on the quote, you are paying it. You need to know this upfront. Some people prefer it, as it means they don't have to worry about handling cash at the end of a long trip. Others feel it's presumptuous. The key is to know their policy. If it's not listed, ask, is driver gratuity included, or is it at our discretion? If it's discretionary, a good rule of thumb is to plan for 15 to 20% of the total charter cost, paid in cash directly to the driver for a job well done. Now for the one that sinks budgets on multi-day trips. Driver's hotel room. Federal law mandates that drivers have adequate rest periods. For any overnight trip, you are required to provide the driver with their own private, non-smoking hotel room. Not a room they share with the chaperone, not a pull-out couch. Their own room. The trap here is who books it. Some bus companies will have you, the customer, book and pay for the room directly. Others will book it themselves and add the cost to your bill, often with a markup. You need to clarify this. Who is responsible for booking and paying for the driver's accommodation? If it's you, you have more control over the cost. If it's them, you need that cost itemized on your quote so there are no surprises. Then there are the little fees that add up fast. Tolls and parking fees. For a trip from, say, New Jersey into New York City, tolls and parking can easily add over $100. Who pays for that? Most companies will bill you for the actual costs after the trip is completed. This means your final invoice will be higher than your initial quote. A great company might be able to give you a close estimate based on your planned route, but it will almost always be an estimate. Don't get caught off guard. Budget an extra 10% of your total quote just to cover these incidentals. Finally, be wary of vague charges like service fee or administrative fee. What is that? What service is it for? Challenge these. Ask for a specific explanation. Sometimes it's a legitimate cost for permitting or port fees, but other times it's just a way to pad the bill. Once you have this detailed, itemized quote, get it in writing. Get a formal contract. Read every single word of that contract. What is the cancellation policy? What happens if you need to add more time on the day of the trip? What are the overtime rates for the driver? If you have a verbal conversation with a salesperson where they promise you something, maybe free bottled water or Wi-Fi, make sure that specific promise is written into the contract. If it is not in the contract, it does not exist. A handshake deal or a friendly email confirmation is not a legal document. The contract is your only protection. By following this process, vetting on safer, understanding the operator/broker dynamic, dissecting the quote line by line, and demanding a detailed contract, you transform from a hopeful customer into an empowered, informed consumer. You strip away the company's ability to surprise you with hidden fees, and most importantly, you ensure the company you're entrusting with your group's safety is legitimate and professional. This isn't just about saving a few bucks. It's about peace of mind. It's about knowing that when that big, beautiful bus pulls up to the curb, you've done everything in your power to make sure the journey ahead will be a safe and successful one. But what actually happens on the day of the trip? What should you do the minute the bus arrives? And what are the unwritten rules of etiquette that will make your driver love your group and go the extra mile for you? Let's paint the picture. It's 6 a.m. The sun is just starting to peek over the horizon, and there's a buzz of nervous energy in the air. Your group is gathered, clutching coffee cups and suitcases. And then you hear it. The low rumble, the hiss of air brakes. A 45-foot, gleaming motor coach rounds the corner. This is the moment of truth. The adventure is officially beginning. But what you do in the next 30 minutes will set the tone for the entire trip, for better or for worse. The first most crucial step is for the designated group leader, and only the group leader, to approach the bus. This isn't the time for a welcome committee. The driver has a critical safety protocol to complete, and a crowd of people asking, "Is there a bathroom?" or "Can you put this on for me?" is a dangerous distraction. As the leader, you are the designated point of contact. Walk up to the driver's side door with a smile. Introduce yourself. "Hi, I'm Sarah, the leader for the Washington, D.C. trip." This simple act establishes a clear line of communication. Now this is your first opportunity to be a hero. Have your itinerary printed out, ready to hand to the driver. Yes, the company has sent it to them electronically, but technology can fail. A physical copy is a sign of respect and preparation. Go over the very first stop with them. Just to confirm, our first destination is the Lincoln Memorial, at this address. This verbal confirmation ensures you're both literally on the same page from the get-go. This isn't micromanaging. It's professional courtesy. While you're having this brief chat, you'll notice the driver is busy. They're not just waiting around. They are performing a legally mandated pre-trip inspection. This is a top-to-bottom, inside-and-out safety check of the vehicle, and it's non-negotiable. They're walking around the entire bus, a process often called a walk-around. They're thumping the tires with a mallet or a tire thumper. It might sound strange, but they're listening for the sound a properly inflated tire makes. A dull thud instead of a sharp ring can indicate low pressure, a potentially trip-ending problem. They're checking the tread depth. They're looking at the lug nuts on every wheel to ensure they're all tight, and that there are no rust streaks, which could indicate a loose nut. They'll check every single light on the bus. Headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals, and all the little clearance lights that outline the vehicle. They're not just flicking a switch, they're physically walking around to confirm each bulb is working. They'll check the wipers and the washer fluid. They'll open the engine compartment to check fluid levels, oil, coolant, power steering fluid. They're looking for any leaks or drips underneath the coach. They'll check the belts and hoses for any signs of wear and tear. Inside, the inspection continues. They're testing the brakes, both the service brakes and the emergency parking brake. They're checking the steering for excessive play. They're ensuring the horn works, the mirrors are clean and properly adjusted, and the emergency equipment like the fire extinguisher and first aid kit is present and up to date. They'll even check the cleanliness of the cabin and the restroom. This entire process can take 15 to 30 minutes. Your job as the group leader is to let them do it. Tell your group to stand back and give the driver space. This isn't just their job. It's the procedure that ensures your group of 50 people is about to travel in a vehicle that is as safe as humanly possible. Respect the process. It's for you. Once the driver gives you the all clear, the next phase begins. Loading the luggage. And this is where chaos can reign if you don't manage it. The storage areas under the bus are called bays, and they are massive, but they are not a magical black hole. There is an art to loading them correctly. The first rule: consolidate your luggage. 1 or 2 reasonably sized suitcases per person is ideal. Showing up with a large suitcase, a duffel bag, a backpack, a tote bag, and a loose pillow is a recipe for a logistical nightmare. The driver is responsible for opening and closing the bay doors, but the question of who physically loads the bags can vary. Some drivers will jump in and do it all themselves, arranging everything like a game of Tetris. Others will supervise while members of your group do the loading. The best approach is to ask the driver, "How would you like us to handle the luggage?" This again shows respect for their domain. If your group is loading, designate 2 or 3 able-bodied people to be the loaders. Don't have 40 people all trying to cram their bags in at once. Heavier items should go in first and be spread out over the axles to keep the bus balanced. More fragile items or things you might need to access sooner should go in last, near the door. And here's a pro tip. If your group has a bunch of identical-looking black suitcases, tie a brightly colored ribbon or put a unique tag on yours. It will save a massive headache at the hotel later. And for the love of all that is holy, do not pack anything in your checked luggage that you will need during the day's drive. Your wallet, medications, phone, snacks, a book, all of that belongs in a small personal bag that you carry on board with you. Once those bay doors are closed and locked, they typically stay closed until you reach the next hotel or major stop. With the luggage stowed, it's time to board. This should be an orderly process, not a stampede. Allow those with mobility issues to board first, so they can take their time and choose an accessible seat near the front. There's an unwritten rule about saving seats. It's generally acceptable to save a seat for a spouse or a travel partner, but trying to rope off an entire section of 4 or 5 seats for friends who haven't even arrived yet is poor form. The bus is a community space for the duration of your trip, so be considerate. Find your seat, stow your personal bag either in the overhead compartment, which is for light items only, not heavy bowling balls, or under the seat in front of you. Do not block the aisle. The aisle is an emergency exit path and must be kept clear at all times. Once everyone is seated, this is when the driver will step into the cabin and give their pre-trip briefing. Pay attention. Put your phone down. Stop your conversation. This is just as important as the flight attendant's safety speech on an airplane. The driver will introduce themselves, welcome you aboard, and briefly go over the itinerary for the day. They will then cover the bus's safety features, the location of the emergency exits, which are typically the windows marked with red handles, and the roof hatches. They will explain how to open them, They'll remind you to remain seated while the bus is in motion. A moving motor coach can brake or swerve suddenly, and you don't want to become a projectile. They'll also go over the rules of the bus. These are their rules on their multi-$100,000 office. This usually includes things like keeping the bus clean, using the trash bags provided, and the rules for using the onboard restroom. And speaking of the restroom, it's for liquids only, if you catch my drift. It's a chemical toilet, not a residential plumbing system, and using it for anything else can create a very unpleasant situation for everyone on board. This briefing is your final check. Does the plan the driver just outlined match the plan you have? If there's a discrepancy, now is the time to politely clarify, before you've even left the parking lot. Once the briefing is done, and the driver has done a final head count, you'll feel the engine hum, hear that satisfying hiss as the parking brake is released, and you'll begin to roll. But there's one last piece of etiquette, a pro-level move that can transform your driver from a simple service provider into your group's greatest advocate. For multi-day trips, consider giving the driver a portion of their tip up front. It's not required, but handing your driver $50 or $100 on the first morning with a simple, "This is just to say thanks for getting us started, and we're looking forward to a great trip with you," works wonders. It shows you recognize and respect their profession. It establishes a partnership. This small gesture can be the difference between a driver who sticks to the itinerary and a driver who, when you're running ahead of schedule, says, "Hey folks, I know a great little scenic overlook just a few miles off our route. You want to go check it out?" That's the kind of experience that makes a trip unforgettable. Your journey has now truly begun, and by handling these first critical moments with preparation and respect, you've laid the foundation for an incredible adventure. As the wheels begin to turn and the landscape starts to glide past your window, a new phase of the journey begins, the great settle-in. This is the moment the initial buzz of departure gives way to the rhythm of the road. You'll see it happen all around you. People are shrugging off jackets, finding the perfect recline for their seat, and meticulously arranging their personal space. This isn't just about getting comfortable. It's about creating your own little sanctuary for the next several hours, or even days. Your carry-on, which was your lifeline in the terminal, now becomes your personal command center. This is the time to pull out that neck pillow, your book, your tablet, and the all-important headphones. You're nesting. And as you do, you're subconsciously participating in the silent, unspoken negotiation of shared space. The armrest becomes a delicate boundary. The angle of your recline is a statement of consideration for the person behind you. It's a microcosm of society, a rolling community finding its equilibrium. Now let's talk about the features of your new mobile home, because understanding them is the key to a truly comfortable trip. First, and let's just get it out of the way, the onboard restroom. It is a marvel of engineering and a source of endless anxiety for first-timers. Let's be honest, it's not the Ritz-Carlton. It's a small functional space designed for one purpose. The cardinal rule: get in, do your business, get out. It's not a place to text, make a phone call, or contemplate the meaning of life. The door will have a simple locking mechanism, usually a sliding bolt that also turns on the light. The flush is often operated by a button or a foot pedal, and can be surprisingly loud. Don't be alarmed. And a pro tip: try to use it while the bus is moving on a smooth stretch of highway. Navigating that tiny space while the bus is turning or braking is an advanced level skill. Think of it less as a bathroom and more as a strategic resource. Use it when you need to, but always keep an eye out for the next scheduled rest stop, which will feel like a 5-star resort in comparison. Next up, the modern lifelines, power outlets and Wi-Fi. Most charter buses today are equipped with them, but it's crucial to manage your expectations. The outlets are typically shared, with one pair for every 2 seats. This is where a little courtesy goes a long way. If you finish charging your phone, unplug it so your seatmate can power up their device. It's also a great idea to bring a portable power bank as a backup, just in case you're in a row where the outlets are in high demand or, in rare cases, not working. As for the Wi-Fi, think of it as Wi-Fi Lite. It's running off a cellular signal and being shared by up to 50 other people. It's usually perfect for checking emails, sending messages, or light social media browsing. It is not, however, designed for streaming high-definition movies or downloading massive files. The ultimate pro move is to download your movies, podcasts, and playlists onto your devices before you leave home. This guarantees you have uninterrupted entertainment and leaves the precious bandwidth for those who need to send a quick, important email. You'll be the envy of everyone else watching their movie buffer. Many buses also feature an onboard entertainment system, usually a series of monitors that fold down from the ceiling. The driver or tour director will often play a movie or two on longer hauls. This can be a great communal experience, a throwback to the days of in-flight movies. But this is also where your headphones become absolutely essential. The audio is typically played through the bus's speaker system. If you want to listen to your own music or simply enjoy some quiet time, a good pair of noise-canceling headphones is your best friend. They create a bubble of personal space and allow you to fully disconnect and relax, turning your window seat into a private screening room with an ever-changing backdrop. And don't forget the small personal amenities. Above your head, you'll find a small, adjustable air vent and a reading light. These are your personal climate and lighting controls. The bus cabin can be a battleground of temperature preferences, so being able to aim a little stream of cool air directly at yourself, or read a book without disturbing a sleeping neighbor, is a small but significant luxury. As the miles roll by, you'll start to notice the distinct rhythm of a long-distance bus trip. The first hour or two is filled with energy. People are chatting, the scenery is fresh and exciting, and the sense of adventure is palpable. Then, a comfortable quiet often settles in. This is the mid-journey lull. You'll see heads start to nod, books come out in earnest, and the soft glow of screens illuminates the cabin. Don't fight it. Embrace it. This is your time to decompress. Watch the world go by. Listen to that album you've been meaning to get to. This downtime is a gift, a forced pause from the frantic pace of everyday life. This rhythm is punctuated by a series of planned stops, and understanding these breaks is key to mastering the journey. The most common is the rest stop. These are typically short, about 20 to 25 minutes, just long enough to stretch your legs, use a spacious land-based restroom, and grab a snack or a coffee. The veterans have a strategy: bathroom first, then food and drinks. The lines for both can get long quickly. The driver will always announce very clearly what time you need to be back on the bus. Take this time seriously. It's not a suggestion. A good driver will do a head count, but the responsibility is on you to be back on time. Nothing sours the mood of a trip faster than the entire bus having to wait for one late person. For longer journeys, you'll also have meal stops. These are more generous, usually 45 minutes to an hour, at a location with multiple food options, like a travel plaza or an area with several fast food restaurants. This is your chance for a proper meal and a real break from the bus. It's also a great opportunity to chat with your fellow travelers and the driver, who often has great recommendations on where to get the best food. And sometimes you'll make a stop that isn't for you at all, it's for the driver. Federal regulations strictly limit the number of hours a driver can be on the road without a break. For very long or overnight trips, this means you'll have a driver change. The bus will pull into a designated spot, a fresh, rested driver will hop on, and your current driver will head off for their required rest period. It's a seamless professional handoff that ensures your safety is always the top priority. It's a fascinating piece of behind-the-scenes logistics that keeps the whole system moving. Living in this shared space for an extended period also requires a shared understanding of etiquette. Noise is the biggest factor. While quiet conversation is perfectly fine, nobody wants to hear your entire phone call with your cousin. The unspoken rule is to keep calls short and your voice low, or better yet, wait for a stop. And when it comes to entertainment, headphones are not optional. They are a mandatory piece of equipment for being a good travel citizen. Then there's the matter of food. While bringing snacks is a great idea, be mindful of their aroma. A bag of chips or a granola bar is fine. A steaming container of garlic-heavy leftovers or a tuna salad sandwich is not. A good rule of thumb is, if you wouldn't want to be smelling it for the next 3 hours, maybe save it for a meal stop. These aren't strict rules, but rather a collective agreement that makes the journey more pleasant for everyone. By being a considerate passenger, you contribute to a positive atmosphere, turning a bus full of strangers into a temporary, friendly community on wheels. You're not just a passenger on a bus. You're part of a caravan, an expedition, and how you conduct yourself shapes the experience for everyone, including you. And that shared experience has its own unique rhythm, its own chapters. The first and most frequent is the scheduled stop. It begins not with a sign on the highway but with a sound. The subtle crackle of the PA system, a sound that cuts through the low hum of the engine and the quiet murmur of conversations. Then the driver's voice, calm and steady, announces the upcoming break. All right folks, we'll be pulling into the travel plaza in about 5 miles. We'll be stopping for 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes. Please be back on the bus on time so we can keep on schedule. Suddenly, the passive experience of watching the world go by transforms into an active mission. A 20-minute clock has just started ticking for everyone on board. Now you might think these stops are just for you, for stretching your legs and grabbing a snack. And they are. But they serve a far more critical purpose, one that's invisible to most passengers. They are for your driver. See, commercial drivers in the United States operate under strict federal regulations known as hours of service rules. These aren't suggestions. They're the law meticulously designed to combat driver fatigue and keep everyone on the road safe. Your driver is legally required to take periodic breaks. So when that bus pulls over, it's not just a courtesy. It's a non-negotiable part of the safety protocol that governs every single mile of your journey. The driver is resetting their own internal clock, ensuring they remain alert and focused for the long haul ahead. But for you, the passenger, the stop is a welcome reprieve. It's a chance to escape the climate-controlled capsule you've been in for hours. The moment the bus door hisses open, you're hit with a wave of reality. The temperature of the outside world, the smell of diesel fuel and cut grass, the vastness of the sky. The first few steps on solid ground feel strangely significant, your legs relearning how to walk on a surface that isn't vibrating. You're now standing at the entrance to a classic American institution, the Highway Travel Plaza. It's a world unto itself. Inside, you're greeted by a symphony of familiar sounds, the beeping of cash registers, the whir of coffee grinders, the low rumble of refrigerated coolers. The light is always a bit too bright, the aisles a bit too narrow, and the sheer variety of snacks is both dazzling and overwhelming. This is where the 20-minute mission truly begins, and it requires a strategy. Your first objective is reconnaissance. Don't just wander in. Scan the layout immediately. Where are the restrooms? Where are the food counters? Where are the checkout lines? Your brain needs to process this information and form a plan of attack, because you are racing against time and, more importantly, against 49 other people from your bus who all have the same basic needs. The first great dilemma is always, bathroom first or food first? This is a high-stakes decision. If the restroom line is long, you could burn precious minutes. But if you get in the food line first, you might find yourself doing a frantic, cross-legged dance while waiting for a hot dog to be bagged. The veteran traveler knows the answer. Assess the restroom line first. It's the one variable you can't control. If it's short, dive in. Get the biological necessity out of the way. This frees up your mind and body to focus on the second, more complex objective, sustenance. Navigating the food options is its own art form. You see the fast food counter with its promise of a hot meal. But you also see the line is already 10 people deep. That's a rookie mistake. A custom-made sandwich or a fresh burger could consume your entire 20-minute budget. You have to think like a road warrior. Your allies are the prepackaged sandwiches, the rotating hot dogs under the heat lamp, the bags of chips, the drinks in the cooler. These are the grab-and-go options. Your mission is to acquire calories efficiently. This is not the time for a gourmet experience. It is the time for fuel. Once you have your provisions, you face the final boss, the checkout line. This is where many a traveler has lost the battle against the clock. You're standing there, watching someone ahead of you try to pay for gasoline with a personal check, or dispute the price of a souvenir snow globe. Your heart rate quickens. You glance at your watch. 12 minutes gone. You start doing the mental math. Can I eat this and walk back to the bus? Should I just abandon the chips? This brings us to the single most important, unwritten rule of charter bus travel. Thou shalt not be the last one back on the bus. Being on time isn't just about the schedule. It's about social respect. When the driver says 20 minutes, they mean it. They have their own legally mandated break to manage. And every minute you're late is a minute that could disrupt the entire trip's timing. There is no walk of shame quite like being the last person sprinting across a parking lot towards a bus full of people whose faces are all silently turned towards you. As you board, panting, clutching your bag with a lukewarm corn dog, you feel the collective gaze. It's not angry usually. It's more of a quiet, unified sigh of disappointment. You have become that person, the one who held everyone up. The driver gives you a look that is a masterclass in patient professionalism, but everyone knows. So, the pro tip isn't to be the first person back. The pro tip is to plan to be the fifth person back. Get your things, maybe take a quick 2-minute walk around the parking lot to really stretch your legs, and then head back to the bus with about 5 minutes to spare. This gives you a buffer for any unforeseen delays, and it signals to your fellow travelers and the driver that you are a considerate, seasoned member of the expedition. You reboard the bus and sink back into your seat, a sense of accomplishment washing over you. You successfully navigated the rest stop. You have your snacks, you're comfortable, and you're on time. The bus fills up again, the air now thick with the scent of coffee, pizza, and Cinnabon. The door hisses shut, a sound of finality. The engine rumbles to a higher pitch, and with a gentle lurch, you pull back onto the highway, rejoining the river of traffic. The travel plaza shrinks in the rearview mirror. Another small chapter closed. Of course, not all stops are these frantic 20-minute sprints. Sometimes there are longer, designated meal stops at a food court or a specific restaurant, giving you a full hour to decompress and eat a proper meal. On a tour, you'll have scenic stops, overlooks at the Grand Canyon, historical markers, quirky roadside attractions, where the purpose isn't logistics, but the experience itself. And then there are the unscheduled stops, a sudden traffic jam that brings everything to a standstill, a detour due to weather. These moments are tests of the community's patience. This is when you see the driver's expertise shine, as they calmly navigate the situation, get on the radio, and keep everyone informed. These aren't delays. They are simply part of the unwritten story of the road. Each stop, planned or unplanned, is a punctuation mark in the long, flowing sentence of your journey. They are the pauses that give the trip its rhythm, breaking up the endless miles into manageable, memorable segments. They are the moments you spend on solid ground, reminding you that the real adventure isn't just the destination, but every single step and every single stop along the way. But once you're back on board, the doors hiss shut, and the bus merges back onto the highway. A different kind of environment takes over. The world outside becomes a blur of green and gray, a movie playing on the other side of the glass. The real world for the next few hours is right here, inside these walls. This rolling microcosm of society, this temporary village on wheels, operates on a set of unwritten rules, a social contract that can make or break your entire journey. Mastering this hidden etiquette is just as important as packing the right snacks. Think of the bus not as a vehicle, but as a shared space, like a long, thin library that happens to be moving at 65 miles per hour. And the first and most sacred rule of this library is the management of sound. Your personal sound bubble is a privilege, not a right. The advent of noise-canceling headphones is perhaps the single greatest technological leap for group travel in human history. They are your passport to a private world, a shield against the symphony of snores, coughs, and quiet chatter that naturally fills the space. But they are also a courtesy to others. That movie you're watching, that podcast you're hooked on, that video game you're playing. Its soundtrack should be for your ears only. The faint, tinny buzz of someone else's audio leaking from cheap earbuds is one of the most persistent, low-grade tortures known to modern travel. It's the mosquito in the room, the dripping faucet of the road. Don't be that person. Invest in decent headphones. Your fellow travelers will thank you with the greatest gift they can offer: peaceful silence. And then there's the phone call. We've all seen it. The person who decides that the middle of a quiet bus is the perfect place to have a loud, one-sided conversation about their cousin's messy divorce, or a detailed breakdown of a fantasy football draft. Remember, you're not in your living room. Every word you speak is being broadcast to dozens of captive audience members. The golden rule is simple. If the call is essential, keep it short, keep your voice low, and be excruciatingly aware of your surroundings. A quick, "Hey, I'm on the bus, I'll call you back when we get there," is perfectly acceptable. A 20-minute saga is a declaration of social war. Texting is your best friend. It's silent, it's discreet, and it ensures that the personal drama of your life remains personal. Just as important as the soundscape is the scentscape. An enclosed space like a charter bus is a hypersensitive environment for odors. What might be a pleasant aroma in an open kitchen can become an overwhelming olfactory assault in a confined cabin. This is where your food choices become a matter of public service. That egg salad sandwich? Delicious, but save it for the rest stop. The tuna you packed for a protein boost? A noble health choice, but a catastrophic social one. Leftover garlic chicken? Absolutely not. Think of it this way. If you wouldn't want to smell it on an airplane, you definitely don't want to smell it on a bus, where the air circulates for hours. Stick to neutral-smelling foods. Granola bars, pretzels, fruit, plain sandwiches. Your consideration will contribute to a much more pleasant atmosphere for everyone, including you. And this goes for personal scents too. A light touch with deodorant is a must, But this is not the time to experiment with that bold new cologne or perfume. You might love the scent of sandalwood and musk, but the person next to you with allergies might spend the next 100 miles in a state of sneezy misery. When it comes to scent on a bus, less is always more. Now let's talk about physical space, the delicate dance of personal bubbles. You are allotted a certain amount of real estate: your seat, a slice of the overhead bin, and the floor space at your feet. This is your kingdom. Respect its borders. The armrest is the classic battleground, the neutral zone between warring nations. The unspoken rule is generally a shared custody agreement. If you're using it, be mindful. If your neighbor is using it, let them have it for a while. It's a silent negotiation. The most aggressive move in this game is the full seat recline. Before you press that button and send your seat hurtling into the lap of the person behind you, take a moment. Turn around. Make eye contact. A simple, "Do you mind if I recline a bit?" can turn a potentially hostile act into a moment of polite cooperation. Most people will say yes, but the act of asking shows respect for their space, their knees, and their laptop screen. Don't be the person who slams their seat back without warning. That's how you end up with a knee gently but persistently nudging your lower back for the rest of the trip. Your carry-on luggage also plays a role in this spatial contract. The overhead bin is prime real estate. Use it for your larger carry-on, the one you won't need to access frequently. Your smaller bag, the one with your book, your headphones, your water bottle, belongs at your feet. Keep it tucked in, not sprawling into the aisle where it can become a tripping hazard for others moving about the cabin. The aisle is the public thoroughfare, the main street of your moving village. Keep it clear. It's a matter of both convenience and safety. Beyond the physical and sensory rules, there's the social fabric itself. You're going to be with these strangers for a significant amount of time. You don't have to become best friends, but acknowledging each other's existence is key. A simple nod or a quiet hello to your seatmate when you first sit down sets a positive tone. You can often gauge pretty quickly if someone is in the mood for a chat or if they'd rather be left alone with their thoughts. Look for the cues. Headphones in is the universal sign for do not disturb. A book open is a strong hint. Staring intently out the window usually means they're in their own world. But if they offer a smile and a comment about the traffic or the weather, feel free to engage. Some of the most interesting fleeting connections are made on journeys like this. You meet people from all walks of life, sharing a small slice of time and space. You might learn something new, hear a fascinating story, and then at your destination, you'll say "nice meeting you," and likely never see them again. It's a unique and often beautiful part of the travel experience. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, is your relationship with the driver. This person is not just a driver. They are the captain of the ship, the navigator, the tour guide, and the chief safety officer, all rolled into one. Their focus and well-being are directly tied to your own. The area around the driver's seat is sacred ground. Don't stand and chat with them while they're driving. Don't ask them a barrage of complex questions when they're navigating a tricky interchange. Save your questions for rest stops or when the bus is parked. Follow their instructions promptly and without argument. When they say it's time to leave a rest stop, it's time to leave. They are managing a tight schedule and are responsible for everyone on board. A simple thank you when you get on and off the bus goes an incredibly long way. Treating your driver with respect and kindness isn't just good manners. It's an investment in a safe, smooth, and pleasant journey for everyone. They hold the keys, both literally and figuratively, to your entire experience. These unwritten rules of sound, of scent, of space, and of respect are the invisible threads that hold the entire journey together, turning a bus full of strangers into a functioning, temporary community. It's a shared responsibility, a collective agreement to make the miles pass as smoothly as possible. And that agreement is tested, refined, and ultimately solidified during the longest, most hypnotic part of the journey: the endless miles of open road. This is the heart of the charter bus experience. The initial excitement has mellowed into a steady, rhythmic hum. The landscape outside becomes a flowing, impressionistic painting of green fields, distant mountains, and the occasional jarringly bright billboard promising the world's best jerky just 50 miles ahead. This is where you settle in. This is where time begins to warp. So, how do you conquer the hours? The modern charter bus offers a digital arsenal. You'll likely find Wi-Fi, but let's be brutally honest. It's a gamble. It might be strong enough to stream a movie, or it might struggle to load an email. It's a shared resource, a digital pie being sliced up by 50 other people all trying to get a piece. The cardinal rule of bus travel is this: never, Ever rely on the onboard Wi-Fi for your primary entertainment? Think of it as a bonus, a pleasant surprise if it works, but not the foundation of your sanity. The real pro move is to prepare. Before you even step on the bus, your phone or tablet should be a preloaded treasure chest of content. Download your movies, your series, your playlists, your audiobooks, your podcasts. This is your personal high-speed, buffer-free bubble in a world of uncertain connectivity. And don't forget the power outlets. They are the modern-day oases in the desert of a low battery. They're usually shared, one outlet for every 2 seats. This is where that social contract we talked about comes back into play. A simple, "Hey, mind if I plug in for a bit?" goes a long way. Having a portable power bank is like having a secret weapon. It frees you from the wall, giving you the power to stay charged even if your seatmate is already using the outlet. But there's a magic to disconnecting too. This is your chance to embrace the lost art of simply traveling. Look out the window. Really look. Watch the country unfold. See the small towns that dot the map, the lone farmhouses with smoke curling from the chimney, the way the light changes as afternoon slides into evening. Bring a book. A real physical book with paper pages. The kind that doesn't need a charging cable. Write in a journal. Sketch the passing scenery. Let your mind wander without the constant pull of notifications. A long bus ride is one of the few socially acceptable opportunities we have left to be truly, wonderfully bored. And it's in that boredom that creativity and introspection can finally get a word in. Then, just as the gentle rocking of the bus and the drone of the highway have lulled you into a zen-like trance, a voice crackles over the intercom. It's the driver. "All right, folks, we'll be making a 30-minute rest stop up here at the next travel plaza. That's 30 minutes. Please be back on the bus on time so we can keep on schedule." Suddenly, the quiet community is jolted into a state of high alert. This is not a suggestion. It is a mission. The rest stop is a ritual. A synchronized dance of necessity and desire played out under the harsh fluorescent lights of a highway oasis. The bus sighs to a stop, the doors hiss open, and you step out into a different world. It's a sensory overload. The smell of diesel fuel and hot asphalt gives way to a bizarrely comforting mix of Cinnabon, Sbarro pizza, and industrial-strength floor cleaner. The air is cool and still, a stark contrast to the constantly moving environment you just left. You stretch, your back pops, and for a glorious moment you can stand up straight. But there's no time to waste. The clock is ticking. You have entered a miniature city built for people in motion, and you have a mental checklist. First, the restroom. This is the top priority. The non-negotiable first stop for 90% of the bus. You join the line of your fellow passengers, a silent, understanding camaraderie in the quest for relief. Next, provisions. You navigate the aisles, a maze of brightly packaged temptation. Do you go for the salty, the sweet, the healthy, or the deep-fried? Here are your fellow travelers again, contemplating the same existential questions in front of a wall of potato chips. You see the family from the front grabbing hot dogs, the college kids stocking up on energy drinks, the older couple carefully selecting matching coffees. It's a fascinating, fleeting glimpse into the lives and cravings of the people you've been sharing this journey with. You grab a bottle of water, a bag of pretzels, maybe a questionable-looking sandwich for later. You pay, and with your mission accomplished, you have a few precious minutes left. You might step outside, breathe the fresh air, and make a quick phone call. You check your watch. 5 minutes left. That's the signal. The slow migration back to the bus begins. People start to trickle back, clutching plastic bags and foam cups. You climb the steps, find your seat, and stow your newly acquired treasures. One by one, everyone returns. The driver does a quick head count. The doors hiss shut, the engine rumbles back to life, and with a gentle lurch you are moving again. The brief, chaotic shore leave is over. You have rejoined the mothership, resupplied and ready for the next leg of the voyage. The temporary community is whole once more, settling back into the familiar rhythm of the road. This cycle of driving and stopping is the heartbeat of the trip. But as day turns to night, a new challenge emerges, perhaps the greatest challenge of all: sleeping. Trying to sleep on a moving bus is a unique form of human struggle. It's an art and a science, and most people are terrible at both. The environment is actively working against you. There's the perpetual low-frequency hum of the engine. There's the gentle but unpredictable sway of the bus as it navigates the dark highway. There are the headlights of passing cars, slicing through the darkness and flashing across your eyelids just as you start to drift off. The temperature can be a wild card. either a stuffy, recycled warmth or a surprisingly potent Arctic blast from the air conditioning vents. To succeed, you need to come prepared. This is where your gear becomes essential. A good neck pillow isn't a luxury. It's a critical piece of infrastructure that prevents your head from doing that violent, neck-snapping bob that jolts you awake. An eye mask is your personal blackout curtain, your defense against the visual chaos of the nocturnal highway. Earplugs or noise-canceling headphones are your shield, creating a pocket of silence or soothing sound in the midst of the mechanical symphony. A small blanket or a warm hoodie can be the difference between shivering and slumber. Then there's the technique. You have to find your position. There's the classic window lean, using a balled-up jacket as a buffer between your head and the vibrating glass. There's the slight recline. And remember bus etiquette, a gentle recline is fine, but going full-on horizontal is a declaration of war on the person behind you. You might try the forward hunch, resting your head on the seat back in front of you, though this is a high-risk, high-reward maneuver. It's a process of trial and error, of subtle shifts and adjustments, all in pursuit of that elusive state of rest. You watch the seasoned travelers, the ones who are asleep before the bus even leaves the rest stop, and you study their methods with a mixture of awe and envy. They are the masters of this craft, and their peaceful slumber is a testament to their experience. For the rest of us, it's a battle, but one that's worth fighting, because arriving at your destination feeling even moderately rested can change everything. It's the final test of your endurance on this long shared road. And then, almost imperceptibly at first, the road begins to change. The endless hypnotic rhythm of the highway, that dull roar that has been the soundtrack to your fitful sleep, starts to modulate. The smooth asphalt is replaced by the gentle thud-thud-thud of expansion joints. The darkness outside your window, once absolute, begins to soften at the edges. It's the first hint of dawn, or perhaps the encroaching glow of a city that never truly sleeps. This is the beginning of the end of the journey, the Great Awakening. There's no single alarm clock on a charter bus. Instead, it's a cascade of subtle sensory cues. The bus slows, its air brakes hissing with more frequency. You feel the gentle sway of a turn, then another. The first rays of sun slice through the tinted window, catching the dust motes dancing in the stale, recycled air. Someone coughs. A phone forgotten on loud chimes with a morning notification. Slowly, like a slumbering giant, the bus begins to stir. Heads lift from makeshift pillows, blankets are pushed aside, and a collective groggy consciousness ripples from the front of the bus to the back. Soon, the overhead lights flicker on, a harsh, unwelcome fluorescence that seals the deal. Sleep is officially over. The driver's voice, now crisp and clear over the intercom, cuts through the morning haze. Good morning, folks. We're making our final approach. We should be at the terminal in about 45 minutes. 45 minutes. That announcement is a catalyst. It transforms a bus full of dormant passengers into a flurry of purposeful activity. The final, crucial phase of the journey has begun. The pre-arrival ritual. Suddenly, a line forms for the lavatory. It's a silent, understanding queue of people who just want to splash some water on their face, brush their teeth, and feel a little more human before being deposited into a new city. Inside that tiny rocking compartment, it's a masterclass in efficiency. You see people emerge looking remarkably refreshed, having somehow managed a near-complete wardrobe change in a space the size of a phone booth. They've swapped their sleeping sweats for crisp jeans, their hoodies for clean shirts. It's a quiet declaration that the ordeal of travel is over, and the experience of the destination is about to begin. Back at your seat, you undertake your own ritual. You meticulously gather your belongings, a process that feels like a personal inventory of the last 12, maybe 24 hours. The crumpled snack wrappers, the empty water bottle, the book you intended to read but never opened. You wind up your charging cables, stuff your headphones back in their case, and perform the triple pat of your pockets. Phone, wallet, keys. You check the seatback pocket, you glance under the seat, you run your hand along the crevice between the cushion and the wall. Leaving something behind now would be a final, frustrating defeat. As you get organized, you look out the window and the world has transformed. The empty highways and dark fields have vanished. You are now fully immersed in the city's ecosystem. The bus is no longer a solitary vessel hurtling through the night. It's just another large vehicle in a sea of morning commuters. You're gliding past the city's backstage. You see the graffiti-laced walls of warehouses, the early morning delivery trucks, the first signs of life in apartment windows. This elevated view from the bus is unique, offering a panoramic perspective that you'd never get from a car. You see the city wake up from a vantage point of a privileged observer, watching the daily ballet of urban life begin as you complete your own marathon. Then you see it. A familiar landmark, a recognizable skyscraper, the glint of a river or a bay. The skyline you've only seen in pictures or on a previous visit materializes, hazy in the morning light. A quiet murmur spreads through the bus. People point. Phones are raised to capture the moment. It's a shared, unspoken acknowledgement. We made it. All those hours, all that discomfort, it was all leading to this single vindicating view. The bus is no longer just a mode of transport. It's a mobile viewing gallery for the grand finale. The driver now navigates not open road, but a complex web of city streets, one-ways, and traffic lights. The bus lumbers around tight corners with surprising grace. You're so close, you can now see the faces of people on the sidewalk, walking their dogs, grabbing coffee, heading to work. They are completely oblivious to the self-contained world that is gliding past them. A world filled with dozens of people who have just crossed states, time zones, and personal boundaries to arrive in this exact spot. For a moment, you feel a strange separation from the world outside, like an astronaut re-entering the atmosphere. Finally, the bus pulls into the terminal. And let's be honest, bus terminals are rarely the most glamorous gateways to a city. They are places of pure function, often gritty, loud, and pulsating with a nervous, transient energy. The pristine, climate-controlled bubble of the bus gives way to the controlled chaos of the station. As you roll towards your designated gate, you see other buses arriving and departing, disgorging and swallowing up crowds of people. You see families with mountains of luggage, solo travelers with just a backpack, and weary-looking people waiting for their own journey to begin. The bus comes to a final gentle stop. The engine, which has been your constant companion, a low thrumming presence for hundreds of miles, finally cuts out. The silence that follows is profound, almost jarring. It's broken only by the click of seatbelts being unfastened and the rustle of jackets being put on. Everyone stands up, a bit stiffly, a bit sore, and the final queue is formed in the aisle. There's a sense of shared relief and impatience. The journey is over, but you're not quite free yet. You give a nod or a thank you to the driver as you step off the bus, your feet hitting solid, unmoving ground for the first time in what feels like an eternity. The air in the terminal is a cocktail of diesel fumes, industrial cleaner, and fast food. It's the smell of travel, but your final task awaits: the baggage claim. Unlike an airport carousel, the charter bus baggage claim is a more intimate, and sometimes more frantic, affair. The driver, now also the baggage handler, opens the cavernous bays on the side of the bus. A crowd immediately forms. Everyone inches forward, craning their necks, trying to spot their bag in the tightly packed puzzle of luggage. It's the baggage bay lottery. The driver starts pulling them out, one by one, calling out a color or a description if he's feeling helpful. Blue suitcase. Black duffel bag. You watch with bated breath. There's a primal fear that every traveler knows. What if my bag isn't there? You see other people grab their bags and walk away. Their journey truly complete. Your anxiety inches up. You see a bag that looks like yours, but it's not. And then you see it. Your familiar, maybe slightly beaten up suitcase is pulled from the depths. You step forward, claim it, and the final weight of the journey, both literal and metaphorical, is back in your hands. With your luggage secured, you are finally free. You walk through the automatic doors of the terminal and step out onto the city street. It's a full-on sensory assault. The blast of wind or humidity, the cacophony of car horns, sirens, and people talking, the bright, unfiltered sunlight. You take a deep breath. This is it. The destination. The place you spent all those hours on the road to reach. The entire journey, the booking, the packing, the waiting, the long hours in the dark. It all collapses into this single powerful moment of arrival. You are here. You made it. And as you stand on that sidewalk, a stranger in a new place, the first big question begins to form in your mind. Now what? That question hangs in the air, thick with the diesel fumes and the sudden chill of the evening. Now what? The first answer comes not as a thought, but as a sound. The loud hydraulic hiss of the luggage bay door swinging open. This is it. The final hurdle. The organized chaos of the baggage claim. Everyone who was so patient and sleepy just moments ago is now a focused agent on a mission. Find their stuff. You shuffle forward with the small crowd, your eyes scanning the mountain of black and navy blue suitcases that all decided to wear the same outfit today. This is where a brightly colored ribbon or a unique tag isn't just a suggestion. It's a beacon in a sea of nylon anonymity. You watch as people reunite with their belongings, A small, silent victory for each one. A sigh of relief here, a grunt of exertion there. You spot your bag. That familiar scuff mark on the corner, the handle you know by heart. You reach in, pull it free, and with the solid thud of its wheels hitting the pavement, the journey's last physical tie is severed. You are officially untethered. With your bags in hand, you take a step back from the curb out of the immediate whirlwind. Now, you can finally look up. You can finally see where you are. You pull out your phone, the screen a brilliant guide in the encroaching darkness. That little blue on the map, pulsing gently, tells you that you are real, you are present, you are here. This is the moment to orient yourself. Is your rideshare pickup zone to the left? Is the subway station 2 blocks down? Is that the hotel your friend told you to look for? The abstract destination on your ticket has just snapped into high-definition reality. You see the bus driver finishing his final checks, a silhouette against the interior lights of the now empty vessel. He gives a nod to the few remaining passengers, a silent farewell from the captain of your temporary world. You watch as the bus, your metal cocoon for the past 10, maybe 20 hours, begins to pull away from the curb. Its taillights bleed into the city traffic, and just like that, it's gone. It's a strangely profound moment. That bus held a temporary community, a collection of strangers all moving in the same direction, sharing the same stale air, the same rest stop coffee, the same silent agreement to respect each other's space. Now that community has dissolved, each person scattering into the night to begin the next chapter of their own story. And as you stand there, the cool air on your face feeling like a luxury, you have a chance to reflect. Was it worth it? Was the money you saved worth the hours you spent? Was the view of that sunrise over the plains worth the ache in your lower back? For many, the answer is a resounding yes. But getting to that yes isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of preparation. It's about understanding the unique rhythm of charter bus travel and learning to move with it, not against it. So let's distill this entire journey down to its essential truths. Let's build the ultimate checklist, the master guide, so that your next trip isn't just bearable, but genuinely enjoyable. First, the booking. Think of yourself as a detective. Don't just look at the price. Investigate the company. Read the reviews, especially the 3-star ones, they're often the most honest. Understand the exact amenities. Wi-Fi can mean anything from a blazing fast connection to a faint, ghostly signal that disappears the second you leave the city limits. Know the difference between a charter bus and a scheduled service. One is your private chariot. The other is public transit on a grander scale. Book early, choose your seat if you can, and always print out your ticket or have it saved offline. Technology is your friend until it has no signal. Second, the packing. This is a science. Your luggage is divided into 3 critical zones. Zone 1, your checked bag. This is for everything you can live without for 24 hours. Clothes, extra shoes, souvenirs. Zone 2, your carry-on. This is your survival kit. A change of socks and underwear, essential toiletries, medications, and any crucial documents. If you get separated from your main bag, this little guy is your lifeline. And Zone 3, the most important of all, your personal item. This is your command center. It stays with you at your seat. Inside, your neck pillow, your blanket, your noise-canceling headphones, your portable battery bank, fully charged, your snacks and a bottle of water, your book or downloaded podcasts. This bag is the difference between a long, miserable journey and a cozy private retreat. Third, the onboard experience. Master the art of being a good bus neighbor. Headphones are not optional. Keep your voice down. Respect the invisible but very real line that divides your seat from the next. The armrest is a negotiation, not a conquest. When it comes to the bathroom, the golden rule is simple. Be fast and be clean. Treat it better than you found it. And manage your expectations. The ride might be bumpy. The person behind you might snore. The Wi-Fi might die. Don't let these small things ruin the big picture. You are on an adventure. Embrace the imperfections. They are part of the story. Fourth, the stops. These are not just bathroom breaks. They are strategic opportunities. As soon as those doors open, get out. Walk. Stretch. Breathe air that hasn't been recycled for the last 3 hours. Use a real bathroom. Grab a real coffee, not just another bag of chips. These little resets are crucial for your physical and mental well-being. They break the monotony and remind you that you are, in fact, moving across a vast and varied country. And finally, the arrival. The part we're at right now. Have a plan before you arrive. Know how you're getting from the drop-off point to your final destination. Have the rideshare app open and ready. Have the public transit map downloaded. Tell the person picking you up your estimated arrival time, but also tell them it's just that, an estimate. Give them the bus company's tracking link if one is available. Arriving in a new city, tired and disoriented, is not the time to start figuring out logistics. Do it beforehand. Your future self will thank you. Booking, packing, onboard conduct, stops, and arrival. That's the framework. If you nail those 5 things, you've cracked the code. But beyond the logistics, there's a deeper reason why this mode of travel endures. In an age of instant gratification and hyperspeed, the charter bus is an act of deliberate slowness. It's a rebellion against the blur of air travel. You don't just teleport from one city to another. You witness the space between. You see the landscape transform from urban sprawl to rolling farmland, from desert plains to mountain passes. You watch small towns wake up as you roll down their main streets at dawn. Flying shows you the clouds, but the bus shows you the country. It's a rolling theater of the American experience, and you have a front row seat. It forces you to disconnect, to sit with your own thoughts, to finish that book you've been meaning to read, to listen to an entire album or 3 without interruption. In our relentlessly connected world, the charter bus can be a sanctuary of solitude, a rare chance to be bored, and in that boredom to find clarity. So as you stand on this new sidewalk, your journey complete, the bus a fading memory, you carry more than just your luggage. You carry the miles. You carry the sights, the sounds, the fleeting human connections. You've traded time for a different kind of currency, experience. And that is the ultimate thing to expect on your journey. You can expect to be tired. You can expect it to be long. You can expect moments of frustration. But you can also expect to see something beautiful and unexpected. You can expect to learn a little something about patience, and a lot about the sheer scale of the world around you. You can expect to arrive not just at a destination, but as a slightly different person than the one who boarded. If this guide has helped you navigate the road ahead, consider subscribing and joining our community of travelers. We believe the journey is just as important as the destination. And in the comments below, share your own charter bus story. The good, the bad, the unforgettable. Because every trip is a story waiting to be told. Now go on. Your next adventure is waiting.